Hello. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Passion. I am your host, Britt Ivy, and today we have with us author and inspirational speaker, Judy Squier. Judy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Really happy that you're here. And you've brought us some videos that we will get to show the audience as well, so I'm looking forward to that. So let's start out by telling the audience what we're going to show them in the first video. I believe you were at an honorary dinner in Washington, D.C., is that correct?
In 1991, our family was one of 3 families chosen to be honored with Family Research Council and Focus on the Family.
Oh, wow.
They chose 3 disabled Americans who they felt strengthened the family. And it was a goosebumper for me because when I was born, it was a sad day. And I brought my birthday balloons behind me. I just celebrated my 65th birthday.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. Balloons were not present 65 years ago when the doctor announced to my father, "Your daughter's going to live, I'm sorry to say."
Oh.
And he was shocked to deliver a baby with no legs and a deformed hand and suggested they institutionalize me. But my parents knew better and they took me home and loved me.
Wow.
And so based on their love in my life, there was a lot of love to give in marriage and to my own children.
Well, you have 3 amazing children and an amazing marriage, and how wonderful that you were picked as one to be looked upon as an example of strengthened families. You really have a strong family unit, and our country needs that right now more than ever.
Correct.
Yes. So this dinner was held in Washington, D.C., and it was you and 2 other individuals being honored, and the tape we're going to see is about 5 minutes of that dinner?
It was 5 minutes of our family.
Oh, that they showed
so
on
that when I got up to accept the award, the audience could see what my life was like.
Okay.
As a mom, a wife.
Okay. And you raised your family where I grew up riding horses in Portola Valley, California. Is that correct?
Yes.
Beautiful area. Would have been neat to have known you then.
We could have had fun together, Britt.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we'll have a lot of fun from now on. I feel that God has definitely ordained our meeting, and I'm so pleased to know you. And we can tell the audience a little bit about how we met after we go to the first cut number 1 of Judy Squier and her family, Focus on the Family, a national television show. So if we can go to cut 1.
We're just getting it shaped to put it in the pan and put that in the oven.
Mom's a cinnamon. That's what? Mom's a cinnamon.
Okay, try your pan. Yours needs help. I mean, yours needs to be bigger.
Mom, I need my pan.
I think yours
Is this good?
perfect. Looks good. The test will be how it tastes. Okay, guys, don't let me forget to put the timer in.
Put the timer on.
30 minutes will do it. Okay, you want to go for a bike ride or rollerblade?
I have to wash. Are you going with us? Yeah.
I'll go take my legs off and then we'll roll.
Your daughter is going to live, I'm sorry to say. Those were the words of the obstetrician to the parents of Judy Ryder at the time she was born. Yet Judy has lived an extraordinary life.
When I received my artificial limbs at age 10, my dad had gone to the Schwinn Bicycle Company president in Chicago and told him about his daughter and that she would soon have legs. So this president, his heart was touched, and he gave our family a red Schwinn bike. And when I got out of the Shriners Hospital after 6 months, there was a bicycle there for Dad to adapt. He put wires on the foot pedals and strapped me in. And at age 16, Dad made that I had adaptive hand control so I could drive a car. And he just was always anticipating what was the next stage. And he was making sure that his little girl didn't miss anything. And as I look back at it, I recognize that I had not an ordinary life, but an extraordinary life. And that gives me goosebumps.
Judy's parents approached her handicap with hope and hard work.
Well, my dad was a creative, energetic daddy, and he fortunately had my sister being 3 years older. He had walked through the parenting and knew what a little girl was supposed to do. In college, well, Dad was a vehicle for getting me to college because the social worker didn't feel like I was capable of going away to a university. But my parents were real tenacious.
Judy received her undergraduate and graduate degrees from the University of Illinois, where she was a college cheerleader and a member of a national sorority. After marrying David Squier, Judy and her new husband moved to California, where she enjoyed life as a wife and a career woman, working for several years as a speech pathologist with the Crippled Children's Society in San Jose. 10 years into their marriage, Judy and David decided they wanted to have children.
And the initial report was that we would have a good chance that we would have handicapped children. And Judy, being handicapped herself, felt like that might be quite a burden. A number of friends influenced Judy to really think about it more, and through a new counselor, through additional information, we determined that there's very small chance we would have handicapped children.
Shopping as a handicapped mother with first one, then two, then three little children was one of those ordeals that you did because you had to have dinner on the table. God redeems all of our negative experiences, and through shopping or through taking the girls different places on my own, driving them, putting them in and out of the car, getting my wheelchair in and out of the car, I know God strengthened my spiritual muscles, and He taught us all to believe in angels.
An ardent community spokesperson for people with disabilities, Judy serves on the board of directors for Green Pastures, a home for severely disabled children. She's also co-president of the Portola Valley School District's Parent-Teacher Association.
I think God has made me a woman of hope and a woman who believes in miracles. Because as I see what God has done in my life, He's taken what the world would reject and what the world would classify as that which gives no good contribution to this world. And He has surprised us all.
Judy Squier, recipient of the 1991 Marion Pfister Anschutz Award.
Wow, I'm like speechless over here. That is just amazing. You were a cheerleader?
A wheelchair cheerleader
That
in
is
college.
so awesome.
Wheelchair
That is
cheerleader. Were you
awesome.
a cheerleader, Brett?
I was not officially. I did a lot of cheering, but not officially. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That is just amazing. Is your father still with us? He sounds like an amazing man.
Dad's in the grandstands of Hebrews 11, Hebrews 12 actually, and I can still hear him cheering me on.
Wow, what an amazing dad.
He was.
That's amazing.
He was. There's a picture of him.
Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about some balloons and then a picture of your dad, and I believe we're able to show the photo to the audience, and in a moment zoom in on that. And it's a photo of you. Explain a little bit about the photo as we start to zoom in on that.
I was fitted with a brace that gave me height and also gave me the experience of standing. And the photo is Dad squatted down, and I am standing in that corset with the brace, with the deformed feet that were amputated, the legs that never grew, and I look scared to death. My dad's just glowing because he made me his mission. And he retired from the ministry, and I became his ministry. And I think dads either are made or broken when a disabled child is brought into the family. And my dad gloried in it. He was always thinking of Judy.
Wow. Wow. So you came from a wonderful family. Now you have your own wonderful family, and you're working on a book, and it's called His Majesty in Brokenness. Is that correct? Because we all have our different levels of brokenness, and is that the title of the working title?
It's the working title. Okay. Originally it was going to be The Majesty of Brokenness, until I realized that Jesus, showed up in my life every stage of the way. And I tell people that I met Jesus in utero. Based on Psalm 139, it says, "You, God, were there while I was formed in utter seclusion. You saw me before I was born." And looking back, I can see Jesus putting his stake in the ground, saying, "This birth defect is no fetal fluke. It's a holy design."
Well, you are a holy design. You're an amazing woman, and I remember how we met. And I do believe that he sees us in utero. And I met you when I went up to St. Rita's to a women's retreat that you mentioned also in that video that you were brought to believe in angels.
Yes.
And I have an awesome story that I'd love to tell at some point about my best friend, Ginny, who invited me to the retreat where I met you. And there were angels involved in our meeting, but we'll save that for another time. So I went to St. Rita's for this women's retreat a few months back, and you were the inspirational speaker. And we've struck up a friendship, and I hope that remains strong. So this show talks to people. I talk to people about their passion, and you have a lot of passion about why God brought you to earth and to sharing his majesty in brokenness. So we'll look forward to your book coming out.
Thank you.
Yes. So you have a second clip for us.
I do. The second clip, you'll see Sheila Walsh, and it was an interview after that banquet in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So this is part of the interview.
Okay. All right. So we're going to see about 10 minutes or so of the interview, you being interviewed by Sheila Walsh.
Right.
After the dinner. Okay. Well, congratulations. I saw her at a national speaking convention.
I love
Seems like
the
an amazing
lady.
woman. I saw her from a platform at a huge stadium, you know, miles away. So you actually got to meet her. And
I love her honesty and her transparency about brokenness.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we've all been broken in our different ways, haven't we?
We have.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and show the audience cut 2 in Sheila Walsh.
A great-looking family. I said before we threw to the break that you would go home for vacations with a family friend. What did you think of this guy that you traveled with?
I think we both thought the other was strange. And he had a little triumph that a girl with artificial limbs couldn't really get into. But I must have known there was a possibility there, because he would take the roof off. It was a convertible, and I would lean on the windshield with one hand and the back of my seat with the other, swing my legs in, and just drop into the seat. And then we would take off, and it was such a loud motor, and I would just yak the whole trip.
Do you think he heard any of it?
I don't know, maybe he didn't. But he concluded that I was very talkative.
How long was it before a romance blossomed?
Oh, it was very slow. And he moved out to California shortly after, maybe it was half a year after we started doing this commute together. And we started writing letters and phone calls, and that was about a 3-year development.
Now, when you graduated, what was your specialty? What did you graduate in?
I graduated as a speech pathologist.
Did you find that very fulfilling work?
I loved it. It was very fulfilling.
How long did you do that?
For 10 years.
Who did you particularly work with?
I worked with every type of disability, retarded children and little children with delayed speech, and adults who had had strokes, or adults who had had their larynx removed because of cancer, stutterers, a lot of variety.
Was the thought of marriage at all off-putting to you because you didn't have limbs?
It was something I never expected. In fact, I can remember wishing on a star when I was a little girl, driving a country road in the back seat of my dad and mom's car, saying, "Starlight, star bright, wish I may, wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. I hope someday I get married. But why would anyone choose me when they could have a whole person?"
But he chose you, and there we have a picture of your wedding day. It's beautiful. You had kind of shelved the idea of children. We all do that for different reasons if we do it. Why do you think that was not to be part of your life?
Number one, was afraid to have a baby, which is not an uncommon reaction, and felt that there was a strong possibility my children would have my disability. And maybe I couldn't keep up with them or prevent them from running out in the street. So that was, and how could I carry a newborn baby?
So what happened to change your heart?
It was purely God, because after 10 years of saying I never will even consider becoming a parent, one day David and I mutually and separately thought we would consider having a family.
Now, what was it like for you, that first one, when Emily was born and they put that little one in your arms?
It's frightening. You don't want to leave the hospital.
I'll just live here till she's 16.
Yes. And it was purely by faith that she came with me from the hospital. In fact, I was laughing this morning with someone saying, if those little babies I had knew that it was a mother with artificial limbs walking down the front steps with them, they would shout, "Angels, help us!"
Well, they had their little angels anyway.
We had so many angels. We still do.
What were your greatest challenges as a new mother?
I think just what everyone else is challenged with. Sometimes it's daily survival when you're tired and there's always demands on you. I think that the ordinary challenge was harder than being a handicapped mother.
But you went ahead and had a second daughter, and then a third. And reading through your story, I know that during the last month, the 9th month of your third pregnancy, you went through some dark, dark times. Did that creep up on you?
I think it really was a gradual wearing down of energy. And I lost my song, as my father pointed out. But I really think that we all go through those valleys for one reason or another, and that God redeems those times. And
when you're in them, though, how did you feel?
You just feel like there's not any hope for tomorrow. And I can remember just rocking in the rocker at home, just not even thinking much, you know, just sort of sighing and wondering what you can do as a Christian. You know, here I'm a Christian, how can I be this way? And yet falling back in the arms of the Lord and just believing that He will bring you through it.
One of my favorite books of the Old Testament has always been the book of Job. And I know that when he was going through some dark, dark times, he had some friends with some not very helpful advice. What did your Christian friends say to you when you were going through your darker times?
Well, I can remember two categories. There were the ones that said, Judy, you must have sinned, and you need to clear it up with the Lord, and you will be better. And the other category, what I called my grace theologians. Those were the friends that I would call up, or they would call me when I needed it, and they would understand, number one, and then encourage, but not bat a baseball bat at me.
Those who felt that there was some sin in your life, and if you just cleared it up, you would be miraculously delivered, did you believe them?
No, I didn't, because in my relationship with the Lord, I felt that we were moment by moment dealing with different areas. So my faith told me that it wasn't that which was causing my depression.
Was it just a time thing? Did it just lift as time went on?
It did. Very gradually it lifted. And I think I'll probably look back at that as one of the deeper times in my faith journey. Even though it was lonely and overwhelming, it's still, God has become a lot bigger since then.
How do you think it has changed the way you help other people? Where you have been? How are you different in your own faith?
I think it allows me to give people a lot of space. And it allows me to tell them that it's God's work in their souls, and that He's trustworthy.
Now, I know that your dad groomed you as a speaker. Was that something he felt that you had been gifted in? Why did he work with you on that? Because I know that you do that now.
I think he felt like there was a story to tell.
Well, that's for sure.
And I think he knew that I liked to step in front and tell a story. So I guess he saw potential.
What kind of groups do you speak to?
I speak to children. I spoke at the Martin Luther King Assembly at the girls' school. And I speak to adult groups in churches. He had me speaking everywhere at YMCA kickoff dinners, Kiwanis clubs, Optimist clubs. But now it seems to be more related to our children's lives or our church.
Have your children, have your girls struggled at any point in their life with what is the reality of your life?
Only once, when my leg broke, coming out of the library. Emily was 2 years old, and she watched a foot fall off, and she watched her mother laying there. And it took her about a month as a 2-year-old to even want to be close to me. But other than that, my children seem to not only accept it, but they and their friends see this as an asset, that there is a blessing that is not present in most adults. And it's marvelous how God has redeemed it.
Did you ever question, when you came into a new relationship with Jesus, did you want to know why things were the way they were?
I think yeah, you always wonder, and you have your standard of what you'd like it to be like. But there came a point where I realized that when I get to heaven, the first thing I'm not going to look forward to is having new legs. But the first thing I'm going to look forward to is seeing Jesus face to face.
Amen to that. Well, Judy, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us and with the groups that you travel all across the country. I know that you are a real inspiration to people, but thank you for being with us here on Heart to Heart.
It's been fun.
It's good to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, we only have a couple minutes left. That was amazing. So I want to hit on a couple points. And your faith. Our faith is what keeps us going through times of brokenness. I hope someday to be singing a song that I've been working on. You can have this heart if you don't mind broken things.
I can't wait, girl.
And I would love to be able to sing that with you. And I wonder as well if you recall when we met how we did mention a gentleman named Nick Vujicic who has a ministry, Life Without Limbs, and how interesting that he thinks it is. And this brings to mind the same thing with you, how interesting that God chose a woman without legs to be his feet. And you definitely carry his message. So why don't you go ahead and tell the audience, we only have 1 minute left here, about your fabulous gold shoe.
This is my trophy on earth.
Okay.
It's the gold shoe that I wore. It was riveted to my stilts. And
oh, that's the actual shoe.
This is my baby shoe.
Oh my goodness.
My father painted gold after we came through the wilderness. And inside I have a verse about the affliction you gave me, Lord, is the best thing that could have happened to me, for it taught me to pay attention. Your statutes are more valuable to me than millions in silver and gold. Oh. And I think that's where we can end up as people of faith, with the questions being answered and it making sense. So I ask people, what is your gold shoe, Britt? Oh. What is it in your life that you would like to delete, but with what God is going to make his masterpiece out of?
Wow. Wow. Well, that'll be another show.
Okay,
we sure
girl.
have a lot more to cover,
okay.
Don't we? Especially about your book as well. So your information has been shown throughout the show. People have permission to go to your website.
Yes.
If they'd like to find out more about you.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being on Passion.
Thank you.
All right. Look forward to having you again.